Hi. Well, it's another beautiful day as always. The sun is shining. And as always, I'll talk about a few things today. The first thing is, what is awakening? Now, the Buddha says awakening is, well, the Buddha says there's 4 stages to awakening, but basically the first stage is the non-identification with your identity. That's what it is, okay? So we identify with our identity. That is what we do. We identify with a lot of other things as well. But in order to awaken, we must first non-identify with this identity, this who we think we are. Because that's not who we are, okay? We are souls, okay? But we have the mind, which thinks, okay, and is in the control of the ego. Anyway, so that's the first thing we have to do, is to unidentify with the identity, okay? That's the beginning of everything, okay? I know that sounds strange, and it sounds very difficult to do. You've been taught your whole life that you're John Smith and that you have this type of personality or that type of personality, that you're a, achiever, or you're a loser, or whatever it is that you think you are, okay? It has to be unidentified with. You have to let it go. As long as I think I'm me, okay, which is a separate individual, then I cannot be everything. And I love being everything. I love being the trees. I love being the grass. I love being the animals. But I can't do that if I believe I'm me. So I have let me go. And that's really the first stage of awakening. Once you can do that, you are beginning to awaken, okay? And there's a lot of other sort of stages behind that as well, okay? And so to try and understand where you're at, you need to understand what you have let go of and what you still have to let go, okay? And our personality or our identity has many layers, okay? There are many layers to identity, and that's just the way it is. And we need to go through it one by one and let each one go. There's the social layer, the intellectual layer. So many layers. The dramatic layer. Do you need drama? Is drama something you really want and need and feel like you need to have in your life in order to feel good or whatever? That's the dramatic layer. Do you believe in your mind? Do you think you're very intelligent? Do you think that your mind is going to carry you through all of this life and that you're going to be okay because you have this wonderful mind? That's the mental layer. Or maybe you believe that you're impervious to emotional stuff, and that's what's going to carry you through. Or maybe you feel like your emotions carry you through. Whatever it is that's about you that you think is wrong, okay? I don't want you to feel like you're wrong or feel like anything like that is going on. It's just the way it is, okay? So all these layers of you, okay, have to be let go of one by one, okay? And you can do this very simply by accepting that you are not that layer, the physical layer. Last time when we talked, I told you to start letting go of your toes, okay? And letting go of your ankles and your knees and your calves, okay? Because these are not who you are. You think it's who you are. You think that if without these toes and without these knees, without these fingers, there's nothing. of you, but that's not true. This is just one aspect of your being. It's not everything. Because you are everything. And that's why you're so beautiful and wonderful. Only you don't know it. And, it's hard to try and get rid of some of these layers. For instance, the social roles you play. Are you a mother or a father or a daughter or a son? Those are social roles. That's not you. Are you a doctor or a policeman or a janitor or whatever it is that you are? That's also another social role. Do you think you're a doctor? Do you think that's who you are? Do you think that's what defines you? No, it's not going to define you. It's only a layer of you-ness. Okay? And we can start by just accepting that this layer of you-ness isn't you. Okay? You were trained as a computer tech, okay? And you worked in big companies and this and that and the other and blah, 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 okay? And so that's what you think you are, right? Am I right? Yes, of course I am. But that's just identifying with what you do. And when you identify with things, you take them into you. You make them all what you're about. Okay? And you have to let them go. And the best way to do that, or the best place to do that, is in the now. Once you're in the now, then you can see what it is. You can see what's going on with you. And you can tell whether or not something is part of you by whether or not it's in the now with you. If it's not in the now with you, then it's not part of you. Okay? If you go into the now and suddenly you're not a mother or a daughter or a father or a son, then it's not you. Okay? I know it's really hard to try and realize that these social roles are not you. Okay? Because for so long we have identified with them. And identity is everything. Okay? And these layers of your identity, which go one on top of another, aren't you either. I know we have a brain, and we think this brain is me. The brain is simply the place where your consciousness resides. Okay? A lot of people might say that the soul is where your consciousness resides, but the brain is where your consciousness has fruit. The fruit of seeing, the fruit of smelling, the fruit of tasting, the fruit of feeling and hearing. That's what your brain does for you, okay? But it's not you. Another part of you is your senses. You think, these senses are me. I see, therefore, I believe that that's me. Okay, I have identified with the seeing or the touching or the tasting or the smelling or the hearing or whatever it is. Okay? And that identity of the five senses, okay, which you think is you, okay? It's not you. If you are in the now, you don't use the five senses because you're out of time. Senses are involved in time. Okay, so that's one way of looking at what is you and not you. Okay, so all these layers are part of your identity, and that includes, everything you can possibly think of that you think is you. Okay, do you play an instrument? Right, and that's you, right? You're playing. You have a skill. Okay. And that skill gives warmth out to people. It gives enjoyment. They can listen to your playing. And so you think that's you too. Your skill has made the world a warmer place, right? I'm sure it has. But it's not you. Okay? Because you can't take that skill into the now. I'm just trying to make it easier for you to see what is. Okay, and what is that none of this stuff is really who you are. Okay, and we can go on forever with this, but time is short, so we'll continue on to a different subject. Okay, so the second layer, the second stage of enlightening, okay, is letting go of. This is all about letting go of things, okay? I mean, I know it's hard to realize it, but that is what you have to do, okay? And you have to let go of your ill will. I know that's hard, okay? Somebody gives you a slight, somebody attacks the work you did, somebody does something that you don't like, and it gives you a sense of ill will because they deserve to have something happen to them, right? That's what it is. And you get that Schadenfreude thing, where you enjoy someone else's suffering. You have to let it go because it's not you. You are the soul. You are not capable of ill will. You're not capable of feeling that someone deserves something. That's not who you are. That's part of the time. That's part of the self, the identity. Okay? I mean, you can look all this stuff up online and check and see whether or not I'm right or wrong about what I'm saying, but each stage has its things you must let go. Conceit. You must let go of conceit. You must let go of doubt. Doubting whether or not you're you. Doubting whether or not the meditation is working. Doubting whether or not I have anything to say. Maybe I do have something to say. Maybe I have something to say. But if this doubt gnaws at the heart of your resolve to be more. And that's what I want for you. I want you to be more. Because this little human being that you are, okay, is just a tiny part of your real self. I hate to use the word self. A tiny part of your soul, of your spiritual being. Okay? And what happens is this tiny part of your spiritual being becomes everything. Okay? And so you have to let go of these things in order to awaken. That's what it's all about. Also, there's other things, but I think I got my point across. What we're trying to do is get to awakening. Okay? And that means we must let go. And not only must we let go of these identities that we have, okay? We must let go of doubting. We must let go of conceit. We must let go of this feeling that we're in control, because we're not in control. We're not. So, therefore, it is a progress, slow and steady. Letting go of each part of your identity. Okay? The roles, the social roles. Okay? Maybe that's an easy thing to let go of. You are not a mother. Okay, as much as you have mothered and so on and so forth, that's not who you are. Okay? And that has to be seen in the now. You can't see it anywhere else, because in time, that role is you. Okay? But when you leave time and you go into the now, which you can do by meditating, you can do it by feeling your energy flow, you can do it by lots of different methods, but the point is to get into the now and see what's going on with you. Okay? And do the inner work that's needed to let go of these things. And there's all sorts of attachments that you should let go of too. Okay, and as you do let go of an attachment, the attachment will transform into spiritual energy. And that energy is really great, and it really makes you feel alive, because that's what it is. It's aliveness juice. I mean, I can't explain or even try and make you see what this is, because it has to be seen for itself. You have to be the one to realize that your identity is not who you are. Your self-identity, the I, okay? I want this, I want that. I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. That I is not you. You think it's you, okay? But it's not. Because you are one with everything. If you continue to cling to your separateness, okay? I know it's hard to feel that you're clinging to something that you don't even understand what it is. But that's what it is, okay? When you were separated from God, when God turned you into a soul and put you in the egg, that's the separateness, okay? And you thought, I mean, you were an egghead. You didn't think at all. But eventually, at some point, you thought, hey, where's God? God left me. God's not here. God's abandoned me. Okay? And when you came out of your mother, you were separated from her. And that separateness was just reinforced. Okay? And you were told as you grew up that you are a separate person. Okay? And you were told about us and them. You're one of us. You're not them. Or whatever it is. Okay? And all this stuff begins to separate you more. Okay? Because that's just the way it works. And the more separated you become, the harder it is to feel that you're separate. Okay? Because it just becomes part of everything. It becomes part of what you think you are. And I know that's all very difficult to understand, to see that this is the way it is, but it is the way it is. And you have to accept the way it is. Or you can suffer. The whole point of this channel, the whole point of me talking to you, is to ease suffering by awakening you. I don't expect anyone to awaken right away, or anyone to awaken within my lifetime or whatever, but it doesn't really matter to me. What matters is that I'm giving what I have to you in hopes that one day it will help you to see the truth, and the truth will set you free. That's it. Anyway, so this identifying that we do with everything, okay? With our car and our house and our wife and our kids, okay? We claim them as our own property, okay? And that's another part of your identity. And that has to go too. Everything, in fact, has to go. All these things have to be let go of. Until you can let go of them, you can't awaken. You can't be free. Because they are part of the traps of you. The illusion of you. Okay? The illusion of the I. Okay? You think you're I. That's what you think. And that I is the doer of everything. Okay? That I is the mover, the shaker. Right? Because nothing happens without the I. Nothing goes on in your life unless you decide it and you say, I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to think this, or I'm going to think that. Okay? And that I has to be let go of along with everything else. Because this is part of your identity, and it's part of what you need to accept as not being you. That's the surface I. There is the deeper I, the I am, which is God. God told Moses, I am that I am. Maybe that's not what he said. But he is the I am. And so are you, and so am I, and so is every other living creature on this planet, because we all have spark that God gave us, the spark that keeps us alive. And we have a connection to God through that spark, which we call a soul. Okay? And so that is who we are. But unfortunately, 99% of people don't know that they have a connection to God. 90% of people don't know that God is still with them. They think God is somewhere else, in the church maybe, or at some beautiful, wonderful religious site, or whatever. Okay? But the fact is, God is with you because he is connected to your soul. And you can use that connection to be with him, to feel his love. I can't convince you that this is so, because I'm just some guy, okay, who's talking to you about it. But once you see for yourself that you is not who you are, once you see for yourself that these layers of your identity are not you, I know that's a hard thing to see, but it's what you must do in order to begin the awakening process. And Buddha calls them the 10 chains. The identity chain, and the doubt chain, and the ill will chain. And these chains must be broken in order for you to move on into the next stage of enlightenment. Okay? And you must break these chains one by one, according to Buddha. Okay? You can't break chain 7 before you break chain 2. Okay? That's just the way it is. Now, you can look up online and see what the chains are, and so on. So I don't have them written down, so I don't remember them. But anyway, that's something you can do. Okay? But the reason I bring up Buddha is because he is a revered teacher who had it right, and that's a good source to go from. Okay? So, this I that you think you are is just an illusion. Okay? Everything in the universe is really an illusion. Okay? I know we don't think it is. I know we think that there's a sun and a light is coming down and so on and so forth and everything. And that the matter and all this stuff is happening. I know we think that's what is real. And the scientists say it's real. Okay? All right? But it's not important. Okay? What's important is that life that is on and in the universe. Okay? If we get caught up in the stars and so on and so forth, we can't feel the connection to the life. Look, I'm not great at saying all this stuff. I lots of time I lose my memory of what I was gonna say, and I say something else, and sorry about that. But what I am trying to say here is that these things which we have measured, okay, and scientificized, and so on and so forth, and that we think are real, we think that's real, is part of the illusion of life. Okay? Because you cannot really measure what's important in life. What is important in life? Love, peace, bliss, or happiness, however you want to look at it. That's what's important. Everything else can fall by the wayside, including stars and suns and everything else. Now, we are dependent upon the sun. The sun is there for us to have life in, with it. Okay? But it's not the important part of this existence. The important part of this existence is being able to connect with other life forms, being able to connect with other people. And in order to do that without falling in love with everyone, because the only way a human being can connect with another human being is by falling in love. Okay? Whether or not you think you're just a friend with someone, you have fallen in love with that person, and that's how you're able to connect with them. It may not be romantic love, but it's love nonetheless. Okay? And that love is what allows us to connect, because for that one moment, the love comes in and allows the connection to happen. Otherwise, it just won't. Okay? And, that love is what is important. Whether it's because, you're connecting with a friend, okay? Or because you're connecting with a lover, or whoever you're connecting with, it's because of love that you're able to connect with it. Okay? And that love is really the only thing that matters. We think a lot of things matter. There's no doubt about it. Material possessions and all these other things. Okay? Matter. I mean, we are a material country, and we believe in the matter, the oil, the coal, everything that we use to make life good, right? But it doesn't matter, because it's going to be gone. The oil will eventually be gone, so will the coal, so will everything else. But there's one thing that won't be gone, and that is the love. And that love comes from God. That's where it's from. When you love someone by being their friend, it's because that person opened a door in you, and you opened a door in them, and the love came out. That's how it works. Okay? And that's the way it is. Okay? We can say, oh no, I'm just a friend, and they're just a friend, and friendship doesn't mean as much as love means. Okay? But it does. And that's just the way it is. So try and understand that this identifying with everything isn't gonna make it, isn't gonna do it. I know it's great to identify with things. To see yourself in that car as you're driving along and feel the people looking at you and saying, oh, look at that car, and oh, look at that cool guy driving that car, and so on and so forth. And we make up these ideas in our head about what people are going to think of us because we have this car, or because we have a swimming pool, or because we have this beautiful house. Okay? And we create our own reality of us feeling good about ourselves because of all this other stuff that really doesn't matter. And in creating our own reality, we create our own suffering. Because everything is going to go. The car will go. The house will go. The children will go. The wife will go. Everything is going to go. And unless you're accepting of that, it's going to cause suffering. Okay? I don't want it to be that way, but that is just the way it is. So try and remember who you really are, which is the space that all of this appears in. The space between the thoughts, the space underneath the thought, the space that allows the thoughts to exist in the first place. That is who you are. And you can call that a soul, or whatever you want to call it. Okay? The Indians call it Atman. I'm not sure if that's what they call it, but anyway, doesn't matter. Okay? Because what's important is knowing who you are, knowing without a doubt that you are love. You can either feel the love, which is great, it's fine, feel the love, fall in love with people, have a great love life, whatever. Or you can be the love, okay? And the way you be the love is by letting go of the love. You can't have the love and be the love. In order to be the love, you have to let go of it. You have to accept that you are more than the love, that you are more than the body, that you are more than the sex, that you are more than this little person who's separate. Okay? And once you do accept that, then you become the love. Okay? And that's to my way of thinking, much better than just loving. Loving is great, but love fades, doesn't it? But if you are the love, if that is what you are, it's not going to fade. You're always going to have it. It's always going to be there. It's going to be part of you. I know I said don't make things part of you, but anyway. Well, the clock on the wall is telling me it's time I go. I love you all so much. And I want you all to have enlightenment because it's so good. Okay? And every day you have another opportunity to let go of these identities. Let go of the social roles. Let go of who you think you are, because that is not you. And as long as you think it's you, as long as you are craving for these things, okay, like cars and houses and a beautiful wife and kids and all, and if you're craving all that, then you're going to be in suffering. That's just the way it is. You're clinging to your role. That's what you're doing. You're clinging to who you think you are. But that's not you. You need to let go and be free. I don't know if you guys remember that old saying, if you love something, you have to let it go. Because you don't really know if the love is real until it comes back to you, or something like that. Well, that's what you got to do. You have to let it all go. You have to disidentify with the people, the things, the places in your life. And I know that's hard. But when you do start to disidentify with these layers of you, you will begin to feel some freedom. Well, I guess I'm going to go. I love you all, and I wish you much peace. Have a great life and a great day.